All right. Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome back to Black Free Thinkers. I am joined by the lovely Miss Maya Adkisson.
What's up, everybody? I think I saw all
Yeah.
y'all last night.
Yes. 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 Everybody hopefully was at Maya's for appointment viewing, Bad Science Sunday,
Yeah, I love
with
everybody
Ember
here.
last night, right?
Yeah, Emperor was awesome. And then, oh my God. So apparently, who we were viewing somebody and BuzzFeed, and they did an immediate strike. And I'm like, there's like zero chance you even saw this video. So I had to do a, what you call it, to YouTube. And I'm like, look,
On
just
appeal?
get appeal. Yeah. Well, say an appeal. I had to actually contest it. And I'm like, look, there's nothing factual in this video. Like, I'm doing you a public service, like YouTube, as like, in general, because you don't want people to associate you with this garbage. So you should just like let it ride. But they have 30 days to appeal and blah blah blah. And by the time I'm pretty sure I'll win, but by the time I do, like nobody's gonna be interested
I
anymore.
feel like
So
this
it's
is a
annoying.
whole thing on YouTube, and it doesn't really get enough discussion.
Yeah.
But I think certain channels are very much litigious isn't the right word, but it's like the YouTube equivalent.
Yeah.
Like they shut down. I think Jubilee is very much this way. Like you can't cover
Jubilee,
their
and that's
stuff.
weird. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, they're supposed to be all about promoted. No, if you
Hmm.
put Jubilee stuff on your stuff, like yanked.
No, yanked. Yeah.
Yeah, like hardcore yanked.
No, like they get an actual hook.
Yeah,
Go
and
directly through
you're
your
getting
neck.
pulled off the stage. That's hilarious.
Yeah, but I mean, it isn't. And History Channel is really bad about it too. Um, which I get why they would do it, but YouTube shouldn't really let them do it.
Yeah, especially
Um,
when it is like discussion or critique of
mhm,
that content, because
right.
that's supposed to be what we have the right to do. And so I
Right.
actually think
And I broke no rules and did like I was exactly fair use, but it's
so. I've been thinking about doing their stuff and then like challenging
I was thinking that
the
too.
polls, but it is like a messy thing to do, and it's so annoying.
Yeah.
But it's like if people don't do that, then they just keep
They just keep it up.
getting away with it. At least if we challenge them, then we can start calling them out for like this is ridiculous, and
Yeah.
hopefully people
I,
put some pressure on them.
I think it worked with AIG because everybody was just like, you know what, I'll take the channel strike. I'm going like they're doing too much damage for me not
Oh,
to.
that's the other thing. I got that strike going. Oh, you get that strike going, you can't mess around.
Right. Well, most of us can afford just
Oh,
one. And so I thought my one was going to be AIG. I did AIG a couple of weeks ago. Nothing. Nothing.
yeah, maybe they wisened up a little bit.
No, I think like what you're saying is right. Like, when you have so many content creators and like every single time, like it's just a waste of their time at this point. And it's not like they're losing, well, it's not like they're losing people in droves to YouTube atheists.
No, I don't think
So,
they are.
you
If
know,
anything, it might be like a boost to their business. I don't even know how
right.
you'd get into that, but I'd be,
So I think they just kind of calmed down. But
yeah,
like
it's sketchy
I kind
probably.
of wish there were more people doing this with like the History Channel because it Ancient Aliens is just really out of control.
Yeah. And I think too, like we should be a little bit more lax in general with the rules. If you're putting stuff out there, like other people should be able to
Hmm.
talk about it and show relevant portions of
And
it.
I mean, I understand not playing like your favorite song in the background, or just like sitting and watch, like having a watch party or something. Like I totally understand that.
I see content creators who do it though. I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
like, are they paying? Like, how does that work? Because some content creators I do, not like in this space, but just in general, I see people putting like,
Mhm.
I'm like, that's definitely got to be copyright music.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know either. Yeah, I'm not special enough. There's a lot of great people in the side chat though. It's really good to see everybody.
Yeah.
Um, Black non-believers. But so yeah, let's jump into today's topic because we might be talking about Mandisa a little bit.
You love dragging me into
We
stuff I'm
might
not
be we
qualified to
might
talk
be
about.
we might be talking about Mandisa a little bit. All right, so here's
I love talking about Mandisa.
so here's the setup. I went to the ARC protest. It was a protest of the ARC encounter. It was organized by Joe, the Kentucky atheist. It's typically organized by, oh Lord, now I'm messing it up. It's organized by a different organization. And they will be organizing again next year, which will be like the 10-year anniversary, but Joe did it this year. So I went out there. But for me, that was
speech. That was good.
Yeah, I did a speech. You heard my speech.
Well, yeah, because they kind of streamed it.
Oh, yeah, there was the streaming and stuff. Yeah. Cool. So thanks. So yeah, I went out there, but that was also the first time I've like met anybody from this space in person. And I thought we should talk about that a little bit because it was a very, you haven't met anybody yet, right?
I met Bree.
Oh, okay. That counts. That definitely counts. Definitely counts. So yeah, for me it was like, I don't know, I guess it was more impactful than I thought it would be, and I thought we should talk about that because I think I am as pro online community as it gets. Like I'm in Gather all the time, every day. I'm in these spaces when I'm not. I think most of my friends are online and they're people I've never met IRL. And I don't I try to be careful to not treat those relationships as though they're any less meaningful or valuable than people I know in real life. Because if you think about it, most of the time you're in this space because you've gravitated to this online space for a reason.
Right.
And for a lot of us, that's because there's something you're not getting from your, social life IRL. So I was never one to I just don't like the way people talk sometimes. Like, you're talking like the people online aren't real people, or like those relationships aren't important or whatever. So I just kind of thought it was interesting that, given that I try not to, basically, I guess what it boils down to, I try not to treat my online relationships as though they're missing something because they're online. Because I think that's the wrong, if you approach it from like that mentality, then it's always going to have an issue, right? But with all that being said, there just is something qualitatively different about getting in the same physical time and location as the other people. And it definitely was something that I was like, okay, I need to do this more. And also, I think we should be talking about this more. And then I thought it was particularly interesting from the perspective of Black freethinkers because of that extra layer of it being, even more intersectionally isolating or whatever. Like, it's even harder. It's hard to know atheists in real life. It's even harder to know Black atheists in real life. And so that was kind of my interesting.
Yeah, the Black atheist part, though.
Yeah. And so that was interesting, too, because I would definitely say that this was not a Black event.
No.
We were, we were in Kentucky, and just as part of the wider community. So it definitely was not like a Black space. But what was interesting is nevertheless, like, Mandisa was there and Kelley was there, and Black Non-Believers was one of the organizing or represented like organizing groups and organizations. So, they're on the merch, they're on all this stuff, and they have a table there. And so it was cool in a sense that literally I think that was my first time meeting other Black atheist friends in person. And then it just so happens to be Mandisa, right?
I mean, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it started at the top. Like, where else is there to go?
Yeah. And so it was cool. And then it was cool to like have that space and that table and to just be able to like kick it with them and have that little bit of safety of like, wow, I've never had this. Like, I could just sit back under a tent in a chair and I'm surrounded by his beautiful Black non-believers with me. So that was cool, but then we're also accepted into this group. It was cool, right? It was really good. And yeah, I didn't realize how much I needed that, because there just is something very reinforcing about, like I said, just being in the same room, being able to hug people, being able to, stay up all night talking with Ember and Sinister Porpoise and Purple Rhymes with Orange. It's kind of like a high school sleepover type vibe, but we're all grown and
No, I mean, it is kind of like that though. As adults, it can be really frustrating trying to find like minds. In high school, you're all stupid, one, but like you don't know who you are, and you're kind of gravitating towards these people whose personalities you like, but they may or may not be, share your interest. And I remember a lot about high school, like just not even being able to be true to who I was because like it was weird. I remember liking adults a lot better because I could just let go and, be whatever. And they didn't think, I don't know, they at least didn't call me weird. And so once you get out of that environment where, I have to be this to fit in, I have to look this way or dress that way, you kind of get into whether it's college or just, regular adult life, and you're trying to figure out who you are. And it's like, certainly by 30, I think most of us have kind of figured out who we want to be at least. But not a lot of people have gone down that path. I love the online community because it allows me to find a lot of people who share, my interest or, whatever it is, whatever it happens to be. And I don't know. I do think, I don't know. I'm such an introvert. Like was it the Myers-Briggs or something I took, and I was just like off the chart introvert. So, I mean, for me, doesn't matter. Like, I remember, like, even during the pandemic, like, I was just like, I don't know what everybody's crying about. Like, this is great. Like, I get to work with my jammies. Like, I get to talk when I want or not. But I do realize that I'm not normal and that there are people who, like, crave social interactions. And I really like that there's a lot of things are going on, whether it's was it BajaCon right now or whatever just passed, and NanoCon, yeah. And then things like the art encounter where we're not just I don't know. I think that coming from like I don't know, I grew up in the 80s and 90s where, you not just anybody was on a screen. And I think there's still a lot of like getting past that where and coming together helps make people in your mind at least more real, more tangible, more accessible.
Yeah, it is weird. So Theo said I've known a lot of you
Many
for
different years.
years. I consider you more than the usual online friends, but I also don't know the line to parasocial relationships. Yeah, that's what's kind of interesting about all of it. And that's kind of telling my dad, like Robin's probably the best example where I was saying like these are people that have been part of my everyday life for in some cases like years, you
Mm-hmm.
know, like Robin, some of the other people that are in Gather, like I talk to these people all the time, like
Right.
more than a lot of people who more than most people probably talk to their IRL best friends or whatever. And to have those relationships for years but never have met them in person, it just it is yeah, it's a bit of a it's definitely a bit of a game changer. What's cool is that like it's a lot easier than other things because the parasocial thing means that there's typically a lot of exposure.
Yeah.
So it's very kind of difficult for people to hide their character. It's not to say that it can't happen. It's just easier when you've watched a lot of somebody or had a lot of exposure to somebody. You know, Godless Engineer in person is exactly the same as he comes off on
I'd
his
imagine.
YouTube channel. And so if you feel comfortable interacting with his content,
Mhm.
interacting with him in person is literally exactly the same. I don't know how else to say it, but that's how most of the people were.
Yeah.
So it was kind of cool because like you're meeting for the first time, but you do kind of already know each other. Most people are exactly who you think they are, so that's like reassuring and kind of
No, that is good
comforting.
because, like,
Yeah.
there's people like, GE where I would assume that, this is a persona, but apparently not.
I mean, we're both kind of the same way. Like we can put on the WWE thing, but you kind of know when we're doing that
Mhm.
versus when we're just kind of being ourselves. So yeah. I definitely felt that way with most people. Now what I will say was interesting is that there is a weird mix with it being a protest. And I don't want to talk super about the protest because I think that deserves its own kind of thing to talk about and
Mhm.
reflect on. But what I'll say is that it's it's weird because it feels like a bit business, a bit pleasure, if that makes any sense. You know, I was there as one of the speakers, so I did feel like I, needed to be prepared and um definitely be focused on the protest that we were there for. And that changes a couple things. One, I would say, is it's a bit smaller of an event than going to like a conference or something like that.
Mhm.
It's also probably a bit different of a crowd just because we tend to have some different fault lines in our community, and one of them is, how much people think those type of things are even good ideas to do.
Mhm.
I'm the type of person who most people think of as like, I'll give you a hard time for doing some stuff like that. But
Well, do
people
some stuff like what?
like giving too much attention to the other side, or
Oh, yeah.
why are we protesting the Ark encounter? Like, is that even a thing we should spend time doing? But most people should also know I tend to set those things aside when my friends are doing something. If my friends are doing something, I'm like, whatever. Like it's this isn't the time to have that debate. It's like you're doing a thing. I'm gonna come help you do your thing. Um, but also I have like personal animosity towards AIG and that whole endeavor. So
I mean, but you were so nice to, was it Behe or whatever?
no, it was nice to Hove and I was mean to Behe. Um,
Yeah, that was
but I adamantly hate all those people. So
yeah.
it is kind of personal. But no, I thought it was really worthwhile. Um, and I actually thought that was another kind of learning thing for me, was like I felt everybody else was like really serious about it too, and there was a lot of great speeches, and I think people understood the seriousness of the confrontations there. So it, like, I didn't focus a lot on sort of silly evolution versus creation stuff, but I don't really feel like anybody did. Everybody was kind of like, there's a much bigger problem here. So that was good. But I just wanted to mention it to say that it is different. It's like a different vibe than just going to a conference or going something where the focus is on our community. And so I thought that, like, in the future, I need to try to do both. Like, it's important to come to things and participate in resistance, but it's also important to be with my people when it's not about what we're against or what we're opposed to, because this had that mixed feeling. It felt kind of like a family reunion. It felt like just like a really cool, I don't want to say vacation, but sort of trip of sorts, you know, to go be with friends. It's sort of a mini vacation in a lot of ways. And so that was sort of the energy away from the protest itself. A lot of socializing, a lot of parties and gatherings and stuff. But then everybody was really focused when it came to the protest itself. So, but I do recognize that that is different, and I don't want people to feel like I'm saying you have to go to a protest. What I'm really saying is, like,
I don't think anybody hears that.
Yeah, good. I'm just saying. I just wanted to make that clear. I'm saying just do something with the people in person. And I actually think you should talk about maybe when you met Bree, or whatever you can share. Because I was going to say that for a lot of people, I think that might be it. Because here's my idea. My idea is that we try as best we can once a year. If you're like me, you need a place to start. You try as best you can once a year to do something with somebody.
Yeah, no, I hear
Yeah, go
you.
ahead.
I mean, for me, I don't know. I don't know if I want to, like, because like a lot of that came intertwined with a lot of people that were now fighting. So, I don't know. Looking back on it, I have like mixed emotions. I mean, it was great at the time, but you know, and I love Brie to death. I, you know, would love more opportunities to meet her again. And you know, everybody. Honestly, I can't think of like one person in the chat that I wouldn't love to meet. But you know, I've been very loud and outspoken about people in marginalized groups, and for I have no tolerance for bigots and fence sitters. So it just I don't want to start getting. I'm going to take the stream in a totally different way.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
But I hear you. And again, I don't know. I kind of mixed feelings about this because personally, like I don't know. I just being a severe introvert, it's not a big deal to me. And then also not identifying as an atheist, I almost kind of feel like a poser, or I don't know. Which, you know, it's what it is. I mean, I remember Ocean Keltoy is pagan, and he went to a lot of the atheist things just because he had so many friends, you know, that were in the community at the time. So I'm not saying it is you want to go and, you know, meet people that you have you know, friendships, and you know, you've fostered these relationships with. I don't think it's a bad idea, but I also know for me personally, I get so drained being around a lot of people for long periods of time.
Yeah, it definitely there's definitely a lot of social anxiety, and that part can be
No, I don't get anxiety. I
exhausting.
get physically
Oh,
exhausted.
physically tired.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
I need a lot of naps.
a lot of naps.
No, yeah, I don't. I mean, because I'm comfortable in my own skin. I don't like, it's not like I'm afraid. I don't have what do you call it? That starstruck or whatever. From seeing people, it's just more like it takes so much of my energy to like, I don't know, just interacting with other people, I guess, for periods of time. It's just, I don't know. Where are my introverts at? Like, I know what I'm talking about. It's so draining. Because like you're coming outside of yourself. It really is it's not like I'm not being me, but it's a level of me that I don't normally give in large quantities. So yeah,
Sure. Yeah, I'm the same way. I don't socialize. I don't go out of my way to socialize much, and I'm mostly just want to be to myself. I'm definitely exhausted afterwards. I
yeah,
tend to get up for the social occasion once it's upon me, and then I'm totally flatlined
yeah,
uh afterwards.
yeah.
Um yeah, so yeah, I can relate though, because for the longest time I didn't really have much of an interest in going to anything. I tried, it definitely didn't bother me. And then most of the stuff I was just like, yeah, nah, I don't think I, and kind of I also did have a bit of like, nah, I don't know if how much I want to go like hang out in these spaces or whatever. And there is the thing of personalities. So the longer you've like been in this space, the more um you've met a lot of people you like, but you also meet a lot of people you don't like. And so then you get into these weird situations now because you're going to go to these things, and um not everybody, nobody really can keep track of all the relationships and do the right filtering. So
Right.
everybody's invited, and then it's just gonna be kind of a mess in that regard. And I'll say there wasn't a whole bunch of people at this particular event that I don't get along with. I definitely realized that was a distinct possibility and definitely going to happen in the future, and I just kind of had to like be up for that. Just kind of like, this isn't going to be the time, I'm just going to, you got to kind of get along with people for a couple days or whatever it is. um
So, I mean, what was your experience like? I mean, I know you kind of talked about it in a little bit, but like, I mean, a little bit earlier, but when you, I mean, it sounds like it was more over positive. You were there for what, 3 days?
Something like that. But yeah, 3 days feels about right. um Yeah, it was a super positive experience. So I was in a house with Joe and his family, and Robin and Ember and Sinister and Joe's friend Will and Purple. So we had we had a ton of fun. Um, that was like that was like a really cool little setup we had there. And then like Mandisa and Kelley came over, and other people came over. Austin came over. There's a whole bunch of content creators there. Yeah, I was with Robin most of the time. I spent most of my time there with Robin, uh, which was great. So
So what's up? Robin had the good stuff.
yeah, actually, yeah. Oh, me and Rob had so much fun. Um, so yeah, it was just like really cool to just just kind of all hang out and eat pizza and have a couple wine coolers or whatever. So um, yeah, I think we all had a really good time. And then um, it was a lot of work for Joe. I felt bad for Joe at points, because it was definitely
Yeah, I was
a
checking in
ton
with
of
Joe
work
like before,
organizing.
like heading up to it because I was just like, oh my God, like it. I know something like that is a lot of work. And like every time I asked him about it, it was just like, well, you know, like, oh my God.
Yeah, and then I left my bag in Ember's car. That was a whole, like, Ember had to leave, and I forgot that I rode with Ember to the protest. So I forgot that my bag was in her car and had like my passport and everything. So that was a whole adventure. But that's what it was kind of like. It was just like a bunch of like mini adventures. Those were Big Bad Mama took me to meet Ember, and yeah, we had it was a lot of fun. A lot of stoners in the community, so a lot of
You don't say.
yeah, it's a lot of airplane mode. Yeah, and then like a lot of people showed up. You know, it was a lot of my favorite online personalities were there. But you know what I was thinking about too was it was a pretty there's more diversity than you think, because there was definitely some people there that are still Christians or you know
Really?
identify as believers. Yeah, people that were just like hanging out with us or that were part of the protest. And so I think like I don't know. I think
How
with
did they find
you,
the protest?
I don't know. I think you know, I think there's a lot of I think it just depends. I think there's people who are I think there's some of the people are like, you know, maybe on their own path of deconstruction. But I think other people are more just embarrassed by AIG or whatever. You know, they don't.
Yeah, I mean, because I was thinking it really shouldn't be an atheist thing to protest the ark. You're not protesting. I don't know. You were probably protesting the Bible,
No, actually, there wasn't a lot of protest against the Bible, but
but I mean, no, I mean you don't need to. Like the ark
yeah,
encounter is just so bad for that community. You don't need to have a political or a religious ideation to hate it. It's just from what it's doing to that community is in and of itself just so toxic. And if if the people in charge had any balls, they would have kicked it out like years ago.
yeah, it's just you know, it's got a lot of defenders. There were definitely people that were enthusiastic about letting us know they didn't want us there. So um
They sound stupid.
yeah, well, I don't necessarily have the highest opinion of them, but they were definitely out there. So you know what though, I think you brought up so two things. So one is to say, but that some of these people were there, I would say even at like the social stuff.
Hmm.
So I think you know being part of community with people is just important, and I think if for you to be at a thing, you know, I think everybody knows you're part of this community. So, but I think it's more on us. I think we're a little bit like, or at least myself, I get a little too quick to assume everybody is an atheist around us. But I think we know that not everybody is.
Yeah, no,
It's
I
really
have
bad
to
when
ask
you're.
it. I have to tell people quite often, but I don't. It's not anything. I fit in. I tend to fit in with any community that I go into pretty well. So I'm always Christians like to, claim me as one of their own, as do atheists, as do pagans. They just think that if you're there and you're, fitting in, like that you're one of them. And that's a good thing for somebody to just like want to kind of envelop you as one of their own. I mean, it's the first step towards, you know, community and being able to do positive things for said community, or even if it's I don't know, I still, when I think community, I think of like the world around you. Like, it's like my little block here is my community. However, there's like an asshole with a cyber truck, and I'm like, well, you know what? If he has to be part of my community, then you guys can certainly be part of my community. So I don't want to hear all that nonsense about us not being a community. We do fit the mold, but I think that with any group that you're in, whether it's just like, a religious, a political, or gamers, other musicians, that they're, whether you're one or not, there needs to be that camaraderie, because there's got to be some kind of meeting of the minds, and we've got to be on the same page about how we're going to move forward.
Yeah, and also I just think for me it's like also just about like getting I don't know, like more of your needs met by this community. It's going to look different for different people,
Yeah.
but that's why I think it doesn't have to necessarily be like a conference or a pro. It could be something really small. Like one thing I was thinking that I could do is like Dr. Dan lives in New Jersey, right?
No way. Okay.
Yeah, and he works
Why aren't
for.
you guys besties?
Well, I was gonna say he works for a university. It's not close, but it's not. But it's definitely in driving distance. So I could meet Dan for lunch or for drinks or whatever, right? And that could be my thing, just like anybody else could do that, right? It could be like, oh, I have a friend who's in my state, or it's the next state over, but it's technically a couple hours, and like you could just get together for a day and do something fun. I don't know. I guess for me, it's just about like, it's like anything else in life. It's just nice if you can do something with the people you have that camaraderie with. And so it was like, oh, I like to travel a couple times a year. I like to go somewhere different and like do something. And yeah, it would maybe it'd be a good idea to like see this community regularly, because it was, I don't know, it's like it would just, I guess it fed me in a positive way. And I definitely think that could make a big difference for somebody, especially even if it is just like one person, right? Even if you just meet one person, it just like, it's like different, because now y'all have met and have a different sort of friendship, and you just feel a little bit more situated in
Well,
a
you could
space.
take it to a different perspective. Like, you hate Christians, and a big draw for a lot of people is losing their community. So having these things, being accessible to people, even on Discord or in places that gather, having, the NanoCons and the Baja Cons, or, even the protest, even if it's one every other month, it's, it's giving people that that outlet that they're used to having. If I'm used to having this community that I, commune with, every Sunday, well, now I'm feeling empty every Sunday. And I'm most likely to go back to it if I'm not finding community elsewhere.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
for you, I'm not an anti-theist. I actually don't like you people. But if you're going to be a good anti-theist, you would want to foster community, because that's going to get you closer to your goal, right?
Yeah, because and particularly for anti-theists, as annoying as they may be, many are, including myself, like dealing with that religious based, there's like a trauma bond there in some sense.
People bond over, well, trauma, sure, but usually there's like it's like that us versus them thing, and I haven't gotten into that, like the why behind it. I don't
But I
know.
mean,
You're a doctor, maybe you know.
I just mean in the
But
sense
no,
that it's
people
like,
bond over that.
yeah, or just in the sense of like, it's like a breakup or something.
Mhm.
It's a place where you get a lot of positive feedback and social reinforcement. And then when it's gone, there's a lot of pain there of like losing that.
Yeah.
And even though you may not identify with the group anymore, you still miss that feeling and
there are a lot of
that
people
nurturing.
that went back to the church because they weren't able to have this very human need met. Community is so important if you're trying to break people away from bad. I mean, it's no different than if you're trying to break people away from, let's say no different. Obviously, there's a lot of things going on in the brain if you're under the influence of drugs and you're trying to get somebody out of there. But it is different. But the way, if you're thinking about the way the brain works and the little pattern seeking devices, like when I'm here, I want to do X, or like the loneliness is palatable. We are not made to be alone. We've been, a social species for far too long. There are just like basic human needs that you've got to meet if you're trying to break people away from any kind of bad habit.
Yeah, I totally agree. And then I think that you do have those needs, and it's nice to just break bread. And it was nice to share wine coolers with Mandisa, and then they left them in the fridge, and then like the next night, I'm like, hey girl, I'm gonna finish, make sure these wine coolers don't go to waste real quick, But that gave me another opportunity it triggered positive memories, and that's something I'll always remember.
You're
is finishing Mandisa's wine coolers. Hey, hey, the economy's tight right now, The price of Seagrams is going up. So, but yeah, there's a lot of that. And yeah, it did feel like that, to where like like very much like the part of church that's not just
mind control.
It's not just mind control, but also it's not just like being there or the food or the music or whatever, but it's sort of it's the sense of knowing people and being known by people. It's a sense like you walk into that room and kind of everybody's a celebrity in church, right? Because everybody knows a lot of people here, and then a lot of people know you, and that's very difficult probably for a lot of us to replicate in other spaces of our lives that are, especially if it's not like work or something.
Yeah, I mean, even at work, God.
But that's and that's a whole different dynamic.
Right.
Yeah.
No, yeah, if you're going to hold a space that you're trying to bring more people to, you have to have that. The community aspect is going to have to be there, especially if you're in a group that is kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Like outside of the social norms, or you guys are kind of rebels,
Yeah.
So there's going to have to be like that a positive feedback loop, and there's also going to have. I mean, and I really do. There's some atheist groups that don't have a lot of positive things to say, but I do like the idea of them getting out, going into the communities, doing positive things, so that it's changing the thought process of what an atheist actually is. Because, I laugh and joke a lot about, sacrificing solstice baby, but that people think that actually happens.
And shout out to Black non-believers, because Mandisa said earlier in the chat that's why they do so many events, to because it is so important for so many people. But I also feel like you have to,
yeah.
But also you have to do both. Like, you and I know, like you have to create community for Black folks. Like, I hate to say this, y'all. I went to a cookout. I took photos of the potato salad so I could show y'all that when I tell y'all Black folks don't do certain things in the potato salad, we don't do certain things in the potato salad.
I mean,
Okay.
I'm telling you, I don't know. Like it's like a whole thing. You don't fuck with the potato salad or the macaroni and cheese. It
Yeah.
just you
Yeah.
can't. You got to come correct.
Yeah.
Or I mean, like you've shamed yourself and your family.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a barometer. It's not the star of the show, but it's a barometer of the quality of the company. And so if it's not right, the host is questionable, your
Hmm.
family, everything is bad. But the thing I'm trying to say, y'all, is there's certain things, I hate to say this, but like it's certain times you just gotta be around black people. Like part of the reason I moved to New Jersey, which is always a terrible life choice. The one reason it wasn't a terrible life choice was because kind of like you have in Baltimore, like there are black people in my life now, and there are black spaces I can
Yeah.
go places. I can go to black owned businesses. I can go
Yes.
to the barbers that's been cutting my hair since I was a kid. Like I could play cards with my dad and other just black men. And it is difficult to have to move through life and constantly be the only black person or one of very few black people. And we do need those spaces. So it's important that Black Non-Believers does
Yeah.
black events for black non-believers and black people. But then it's also important that we be in them other spaces because that's when the representation and the
Hmm.
cultural exchange and also how we get towards actually, diversifying
Right.
and having more inclusive broader communities. So it's sort of a
Representation
double
matters.
burden. Yes, it was a sort of a, but that puts a double burden on the organizations, right? Because you
Yeah.
got to do both type of events and know how to move in both spaces. So
Oh, Kip is like raisins. What?
it's a lot
Like
of work.
It's a whole thing. I don't know what it is about some white women and like grapes. They like to throw them in potato salads. Whether sometimes it's
it's
like
a
it's
it's
actual grapes, and
I
sometimes
think
it's
it's a
raisins.
problem
I
certain
don't.
people have in lots of different areas of their life, which is just they pick the wrong times to be creative. This is not the time to be creative. This is not the time to have an idea. This is not.
Yeah. So like my mom. Oh my gosh, just side tangent. My grandma used to make like the turkey and like the big meals, and then my mom and her sisters, they would all bring the side dishes, and so they're all well. My mom there's her and three siblings. There's only two of them surviving, and they're like over 80 now. So a couple of years ago, they were just like, we're gonna pass the baton. We're gonna show up and eat. Y'all can cook and do the dishes. Um, my half of my cousins are married to white women, and Jay, they almost started a race war. I just very first Thanksgiving, we had to sit them down. And I know it's like, see, Crystal, I could have her at Mike because she's down home. Like Crystal, I don't know. She just sounds like she could cook. I don't know. Louisiana too. I kind of want to invite myself over. It's like I'll buy the food and I'll help cook. Like I want that. Like man, I don't know. When I see Crystal, like I want like
It just depends on the
jambalaya
certain
and like
dishes.
oh
Certain
my
dishes
god.
we can get together on,
Right, right.
and certain dishes we got to be a little bit
You
more
know,
protected. And it just depends. It's if you at the barbecue, them folks can put whatever they want in their potato salad. That's fine. But you come over here to the cookout, we might stick you on home fries or something. I don't know. Something else. Bring a drink, Be
yeah. I mean, I had heard of like what do you call it? The casserole thing, that green bean casserole. I didn't think it was a real thing.
oh no, that's a real thing. And when
I,
done right, it hits, Yeah. Oh yeah.
people say that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And now see that's them people. They hey, look, some of y'all Corelli green bean casserole. You put a nigga on to something. We come over, no, ma, you be telling I remember telling my no, ma, that green bean casserole was good. Okay? No, it was good. Okay. But some of y'all, nah, that's nah, because it's like, because the green beans can be like too firm, and then the texture's off, and then it's like the soup gets not, no.
Yeah.
You got to
Yeah,
really know
I
what you're
think that's what I
doing.
had, because I don't know.
That's another one. You just can't have anybody's green bean casserole. That's one. Yeah, the white ladies. They. Some of them really do that. Some of them really do that. Yeah, and the other ones don't. Nope.
See, I told you we was gonna side tangent. All right, we're gonna bring it back around. We're gonna move back around. I think it's important. It's really important to have. I love that you guys come and show up for us to talk about our Black spaces. I would love to see more Hispanic spaces, more Native American spaces, more Asian spaces. In the secular community, having these conversations, because these are the things that kind of that definitely bring us together. And I love that the trans people are stepping up and stepping out. It has helped me grow as an individual. I was saying to Ember, I'm like, there's just some things. There's some things. There's a lot of things in life that it's just not a one-on-one comparison with anything else. I really need to hear your lived experience. And it's really important to know when you need to shut up and listen, and when you need to speak, when you need to support, or how to do that as well. But you're never going to do that unless there are those voices coming forth and speaking out. And we still love you, Jester.
Jester, it's okay. Somebody taught her that way. Somebody taught her that way. And you know what else? I'm gonna blame? You know who else I'm gonna blame a lot of this on? Men.
I blame men, usually.
Men.
Yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of men told them women, "Oh, this is great. This is just like this, better than my mother's." All men just say whatever they got to say in the moment. So a lot of y'all mamas can't cook because of the men that have lied to them about their food in the past. That's whose fault it really is.
I say this all the time. Like, if you're trying to figure out why this thing is not working, whatever it is, it was probably a man.
It's probably a man. Men ruin everything.
I like you so much right now.
All right, so here's the other thing I was gonna say. So just on the Black free thinkers thing. So one is just, I think Black people and atheism is still hard. So it definitely felt special. It was like, yo, I'm like, it felt like a milestone for me, because I feel like I don't know that, like I said, I don't know that I know any other Black atheists. So I was like, wow, this is like the first time I even have, Black atheist company. So and then I also think where our communities and spaces are still, we're not as online, right? Like,
Yeah.
we're especially like older folks, like we still need to get together and not be on screen. I think that's just a lot of differences in communication style. Like, I still think we're more likely to do phone calls and drop by than other people are. Like, when I remember being in grad school, my boss got used to that. Like, you might email me and I'll drop by your office because I walk by your office and you're sitting right there.
Right.
So to me, that makes more sense to pop in and have a quick conversation than to go back and forth for 2 days. Like, I don't walk past your office 3 times a day. You know what I'm saying? So, but I will realize that that's a difference to my, to different people I work with, credit, like they adopt to everybody's whatever works for whoever. Right. But I did think about like different communities and cultures. We're not all the same way, right? And I do think for us, like as Black folks, still getting together is still different for us, because we're not all online like that.
And I mean, it's difficult because when you see like most of the non-believers do tend to be younger, we're like definitely under 35.
For
And
sure.
at that age, the dynamics aren't the way they were when I was that age. They might be online gaming, but to see them in like political spaces or, even I don't know. When you see them online, it's usually to kind of relax or to like get away from the world because they're all working 2 and 3 jobs just to try to, keep
Yeah.
a roof over their head. But and
That's
it's really
so true though. I'm thinking even like the older black folk I know, they all game online and they have the app. They know how to do the stuff.
Yep.
But they don't do it social political stuff. No, that's all their friends in person. They don't even think about they don't even really make the connection. Like
Right.
that's crazy.
And I don't know. Because I don't really interact with them like that. But I have noticed, and actually even there's been a lot of statistics showing that too, that the younger Black generations are getting away from the religiosity, really. They may still identify as being Christian, but I'm not my mama's kind of Christian. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Did you freeze
Yeah,
away?
no, absolutely. I didn't know. Yeah. So Theo said I'm a millennial. I think cooking is neither one's responsibility. Look, I'm gonna just put it
Jay
like
is
this.
hungry.
I think I can cook. And so if you can cook, great. But if you can't, it's not one of my expectations because I actually want to enjoy my food. So I would rather I want to cook something right. I'll cook it myself. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I actually had a Black man ask me if I could cook during an interview, and I'm like, I better motherfucking have this job.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, no, I'm ready to go
What
upside
is
your head.
this?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, no.
It's really older Black men. It just very much into stereotypes. Like, a man has to be this and a woman needs to act this way. It's interesting. It's interesting.
Yeah.
But and I bring all that to say, not to like bash Black men in particular, but I think a lot of that thinking is still like why we're not seeing people who have the time to come into our spaces here, because it's still a lot of that is still atheists or baby eaters and Satan worshipers. And I don't even have to open my mind to that because I don't know, I'm too godly. I don't know.
Well, see, that's a whole nother thing too. Plus, like we get, yeah, like there's a lot of toxicity that comes with being behind the times. I'll say it like that. And sometimes it is tough. I remember telling my dad, I was like even like black folks, we're way too conservative. We should be the
Yeah.
most leftist people on the planet that there is. But I don't know. So many of us are just not with it. So yeah, that can be tough.
It's really tough, especially when you see the numbers like of people who like either didn't vote or voted for Trump. It's like why is this a thing? Like we just lived, like it was one term ago. We just lived through like all this BS. Are you kidding me right now? But I think it's also indicative of the communities as a whole that we've been forced into and the resources that have been stripped out of the said communities. And like many other poor people, we're not really taught how to think. We are listening to what people are saying and assuming, well, everybody can't be wrong, without actually looking into it. And I know that I saw them do it with Trump, and I see them do it a lot too with just a lot of things, really. A lot of things that keep us kind of, I say behind the times, but just kind of trapped in this place that was made for us. And
Yeah,
No.
I think a lot of it is still it's still like a safety thing. It's still like people
Hmm.
trying to get the safety that comes with proximity to whiteness by
Yeah.
emulating them
Yeah.
and sort of, and also like, I hate to say this, but like, we don't get to display the full range. There are so many situations I find myself in where I think I can't fully be myself, or I can't fully let a certain aspect of my person show because I'm a black man.
Hmm.
And it's something that I'll go to people like, you only like, I don't even think you think about this, right? Because I'm not talking about like something obvious. I'm talking about subtle things about the way you dress in certain situations, or the
Hmm.
way you behave, or the way you talk to people. And it's like, I always feel like a lot of people could just express themselves, but if I come off a certain way and I'm black, it's like
Yeah.
people, it's like a whole quick
Hmm.
negative judgment, and it goes to a whole different place, and it feels very unsafe.
Yeah.
So a lot of times I'm in social, I'm like, no, I have to play it safe,
Yeah.
you know.
I
And
do. Yeah.
yeah, and it's like I'm doing that so that I don't, you know, prematurely face negative consequences, right? And then
Right.
people kind of, when then people get kind of comfortable with me, like, oh, you got some personality to you. It's like, well, yeah, now that I know I'm not going to hang, I could,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
And Titan's asking if it's code switching.
yeah. It's a lot of
It
code switching.
yes and no. I mean, code switching could come into
That's
play there.
part of
There's
it.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, because there's, I think what you're talking is just being apprehensive until you know whether or not you're safe.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. You're right. It's not. Yeah, the code switching is something that happens subconsciously, and sometimes it's not even like a safety thing. Sometimes it's just a
Yeah, if you
role
just want to be
thing or
promoted,
whatever. Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
code switching is what you do when you're around a lot of people that are not like you, and you need to fit in, whether it be for survival or, I guess, yeah, I see it mostly at work. Um, but yeah, it's not trying to find my words here. When I think of code switching, it's not being reserved. It's not being who you are. Like,
yeah,
when I
yeah,
like what I hear you saying is like there are facets of myself that I don't let them see. Code switching to me is more like a mask that I don so that I can, you know, either float under the radar or, even just get what's due me.
yeah. Or like, there's ways where like if I find myself social situations, or just out with new people, or even just like being single, like, I'm not, I have to be very careful of being perceived as being aggressive,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
so there's certain ways I might be playful, or I might just mess with people, but I'm like, I reserve that because it's so much easier for me to come off aggressive in the wrong way. I got to kind of warm up to somebody before I'll mess with them too much. Or like, I remember like taking people I've seen like to hang out with my cousin, and
Hmm.
they'll almost feel like I was like trying like trying to become another person to like fit in like with my cousin, saying his friends. And I'm more like, no, you don't realize, like, that's my man, like that's how I really like but you can't normally see that side of me,
Hmm.
because the side of me that literally just wants to sit around smoking blunts, drinking Hennessy, and throwing dice, talking about football. Like, most of the time when we're in social situations, I can't be that black person, because that comes with so much.
many. Yeah.
But now when you at a party at my cousin's place and the homies like, yeah, we good. Like, so even Uncle Bob talking about, like, sometimes that's just us actually feeling safe. So now that we're safe, like, you're seeing like what we would do all the time if we could, but we can't. So yeah, so it's that's all part of it. So yes, I thought that was kind of interesting because to the extent that those things, intersect with being a Black non-believer, it's just hard. Like, I remember, like, when we were sitting around, okay, so Will wanted to do a very interesting thing, which was like talk deconversion stories and stuff like that. And Mandisa and Kelley were talking. So it was cool for Mandisa to talk about a lot of things that were very much tied to just growing up Black and growing up in a Black community with Black parents and Black being surrounded by Black issues and Black causes and Black concerns. So there's something to us being able to share that and be there for each other in those times and in those stories that you just can't fake it. Like, you either got to hang out with some other really cool Black non-believers and do that, or you know what I'm saying, that's just something you always wish you could do, right? So then when you get it, you're like, oh, okay, that was good for me. Maybe part of my self-care and growth is just connecting with these people frequently enough to remind myself that these are real people in my life. These are real organizations that I care about. These are real, that was a part of it for sure.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is limiting, and I remember like finding you and Jenna and Cynthia, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I can say things and you're gonna understand. Like, I can just say it, and I already know that you understand, but there's a lot of times when I have to like think about like, okay, how am I gonna say this to where this other person will get it when it's not with a Black non-believer, because it's such a different experience. Growing up in, a Black community, or, people that were in the Black church, and like the evangelical, like, I don't know, growing up white evangelicals, like, just completely foreign concept to me. Like, why would you think that? But
Hang on a second.
it is just, ubiquitous.
I ask you something. Are our spaces even more segregated because we come out of religion? Like, it feels like in so many of our communities, there are Black churches, there are white churches. They are very rarely mixed.
Right.
And so then it's like when you come out of that, you don't just come out of Christianity, you come out of white evangelical Christianity, which has like such an extra incrustation of whiteness around it, even more so than your city or your town. Like, Arkansas was white enough, but no, you was Arkansas Southern Baptist white.
Well, I mean, you
and
get
then
this
the same
extra
thing for
white
Blacks.
nationalist layer to your worldview. That you have to completely. It's not just enough to where it's like, well, okay, I'm not going to burn in hell forever because I told this lie, and and the lie could just be something like, okay, I'm not really allergic to garnish. I'm just sick and tired of them putting it on my plate, and people will really feel really bad about that. Or like when I'm talking to other Catholics, for instance, and we all talk about, like just having to wrap your head around, what do you mean masturbation isn't like a sin? Like, I don't need to feel the guilt that comes with that. I mean, you have to unlearn that. And it was just crazy. You feel, quote unquote, convicted. Obviously this is something only a God would do. Like, why else would I feel bad after doing it? But these are like things that we do to ourselves. But like, in addition to like just those little things, there's also, oh, I'm not part of a supreme race. Like, like it's just nuts to me.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I think there's a lot of people, I'm thinking of Life Take Two. There's a lot of people who
Hmm.
don't understand the sort of social political package that came with their worldview. And again, I think it's the same thing on the flip side too, because not the flip side, but across the tracks, because I think um, there's a lot of people who come from black churches or black communities that don't realize um, how different their experience is. Like even um, I think even in some sense, Christianity itself, it's like this weird thing. Like when I'm around black Christians, they understand Christianity as an incredibly black thing. They may literally represent, a black Jesus or a black God or, black angels. So there's a whole different imagination there. Um, but also just they read the Bible as though the Exodus story is Black history,
Yeah.
and Black history was the Exodus story. um, and to me, that's almost laughable because when you endorse Christianity in America,
Hmm.
almost invariably the Christianity that gets amplified in the end is the white evangelical Christianity that
Right.
actually dominates and is what comes to most people's mind when you get into that Christian speak as an American. Um, but it just goes to show you that like that's not how most black Christians feel, right? They
Right.
like when they uplift the name of Jesus, you know, it means like all these progressive,
Right.
great,
Yeah.
amazing things are supposed to happen.
Yeah.
Um, so it really is um, a very different social
Hmm.
understanding that will emerge just depending
Yeah.
on what type of church you grew up in.
No, seriously, because again, being Catholic, I always knew God would smite your ass if you didn't step in line. The nuns, were quick to tell us that. It wasn't until I started coming over to atheist spaces where I'm like, what do you mean a quad omni God? What's the fourth thing? It's like, wait, all loving? What? Like, it just like, did not compute. I'm like, what's your idea of love? Because
Wow.
he's, have you read the OT? He's kind of smitey. Like, it just, and it, yeah, I mean, and it's not that we as Catholics, and again, I'm not saying the way I was raised was the only way to view Catholicism, but it just wasn't. I mean, it was like love in a way that, your parents sometimes have to spank you when you're bad. It
Yeah.
wasn't, but you wouldn't characterize that as all loving. So a lot of the things that a lot of people that I'm interacting with are like, well, how can a loving God, give babies cancer? It's just like, why would God care? Like, I like, even like as a Catholic, I was just like, why the baby gets to go home with him? Like, why is this a bad thing? Like, I don't know. A lot of things like that's not my. A lot of things that the community is coming from, like that's not my. That wasn't part of my experience. So yeah, I mean, when I'm not telling, I'm not sitting here on screen telling a bunch of white people, no, you need to shut up and listen to me. I'm giving you the advice that I, gave myself where, I had to really shut up and listen to your experience because it was just such a foreign experience to me. And I really do think it's made me a better person where I can understand a lot of the worldviews that are going into my politics or into my employees or, when I'm interacting with the world. You guys have really given me a treasure that I wouldn't have come to on my own. So, I'm grateful for that. And I'd like to hear more voices. Sharing their experience because I know that every race has a different experience with religion.
Oh yeah, definitely. Um, Robin said, I used to talk to a pastor from Africa when I questioned why he supported Christianity. He said if it wasn't true, the people who oppressed his people would never pay for what they have done.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, which I think for some people is literally just unbearable.
Yeah.
But it does go to show you the difference in divine expectation. Because to me, like so many of the white congregations I'm familiar with, they don't even, I think they would laugh at like the notion of a black Jesus, or they'd be very dismissive of black angels, or they would see it as like, some woke DEI stuff. I don't know. It's just weird, but it's I've had moments where I've literally said like, so you made Jesus white, you made God white, you show these pictures where the angels are all white, you'll show these pictures of heaven and everybody's white, and I'm just like, wow, like that y'all will be good with that. Like that's very interesting.
I mean, they created a curse of Ham to get around their God being see, like black people or brown people are cursed. Like we couldn't possibly, our God couldn't possibly be with one of
Yeah,
them.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, evangelicals do backflips to support their notion, and it's crazy that it is not crazy. It's very apropos that it's mostly here. I think it's crazy when it goes over to other places. Like they're like, people in Canada and Europe who are adopting like these ideations, and I'm just like, wow. But yeah, it is what it is.
yeah. It's like Robin said, I felt so much compassion and sympathy from the moment. Yeah, I tend to I tend to lose my empathy for religious voices too quickly, because mostly I'm dealing with the nonsense. But yeah, when you hear stories like that, you're um it kind of hits differently.
No, and I don't know how she got to that answer, but that's a great answer. Because like a lot of people are always looking for like, well, what's the magic pill? How do you like, deconvert all the religious? Like it's not going to be one thing. Like I don't, you're not going to be able to walk in and say the Shroud of Turin is BS, and like all the religious are just going to have a meltdown and like say, okay, well, I guess this Bible is Kindle. Um, it's going to be asking questions that get to that, like, why do you believe? Like, well, I have to believe because I have to believe that they'll burn in hell for all eternity. It's like, all right, well, if you're trying to get said person to get out of a certain worldview, that's where you got to start, that's where you got to aim. um that's what you've got to deconstruct.
Yeah,
And they're
definitely.
not moving, they're not budging until square that circle.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, because that's a person that might be more interested in talking about, well, what are the missionaries doing now? Is
Mhm.
that helping them pay for what they did, or are they like? Because to me, like, yeah, that's a great place to start, because that motivation I could speak to. But then eventually he's gonna be like, oh yeah, these missionaries are still kind of taking advantage of us. But because a lot of people know that, and then at least they find their own way to think about that, or
Yeah, and
start to
again,
work through that.
it's always like I say, it's not, don't try to deconstruct somebody in a conversation. It's not going to happen. The brain like
Yeah.
literally won't let you do it. The brain, for whatever reason, has a lot of stop gaps. You just can't, you can only go so far in a conversation. And that's where I'm like, you know what, find the first point of agreement where they're crossing over to your side. What is it that we can agree on, and let them sit on that, let them think about it, because it's a step-by-step process. But like, I don't know, I love that answer though, because like that has just gotten you so far, because that person isn't going to hear anything about, well, God, drowned babies, or, do you really think evolution isn't true? And like, they come into your side on all those things. They still need a smighty God that's gonna, keep this, the colonial, colonizers. That's what I'm thinking. Somebody's got to be keeping the colonizers in hell. Like, I'm not giving that up until, and you got to work through that.
Yeah. Oh, I was catching up on some of the chat. Yeah, there was a comment that I got stuck on about
Which one?
people with large platforms. Now, it's Stacy's mom
Oh, I
podcast
saw
saying
that.
that
There's a
certain
lot
people
of
with large platforms
there's a lot of people.
didn't vote. Yeah,
A
yeah.
lot. And they pissed me off. The whole, like, both sides are the same. I'm like, obviously not. One side is clearly dumber. And genocidal, like, how how are both sides still the same? Why is this still a trope? It's insane to me. But
Yeah, I think a lot of people are coming around, and they're
mm,
the one thing I hear that's promising is there are people who come to the realization not only that they didn't vote correctly, but that it might be too late. That it's that because that's the real thing that hurts is like but that's the first step is like it's we're in a bad situation, and a lot of people seem to not realize how much of a clear choice we had.
it really was. And you know what?
Before we got here.
If something were to happen, and let's say in next year we could all just vote again, I'm pretty sure if we ran a black woman up against him, he would win again.
So that's an interesting thing because people are speculating whether or not Kamala is going to run
Oh,
again, which is like I don't even want to have this
I don't
conversation
know.
yet.
I
But
don't know why people think. I honestly don't think the Dems are going to run a woman for another 10 years.
yeah, I tend to come down on the side of she's not running. I don't think she's going to run again.
I don't understand. I really don't understand that. She's getting a lot of support now because I think there is a lot of voter remorse. But she tried to run before and couldn't get it, like, her campaign off the ground. I don't know why. I don't know. I haven't really looked into it because I don't know. We have other things to be concerned about right now.
Yeah.
This is like something that's 3 years out. Like, we're it's lives to save right now. But yeah, I hope they don't do what they did with Hillary Clinton and they clearly told everybody else to sit down, and to let her be the front runner. If she wants to run again in a sea of like 19 other people, cool, fine. Let's see what you got. Maybe we've learned anything. I really hope somebody more progressive pans out, but I just don't. I don't know.
Yeah, I care more about getting this somebody more on the left. But yeah, it's just a conversation because she says she's not going to run for the governor of California and she's coming out the book. So, but
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think she's running.
it's kind of be a demotion at this point.
My thing is people just need to realize we had a choice, and going forward, since what's done is done, you gotta make a different choice. That's the real question for a lot of these people, because a lot of these people might now have Trump remorse, for lack of a better way to put it. But are you still gonna dogmatically vote Republican in the future? Because You know,
Yeah, I we
that's not
really
gonna
need
help.
people. We really need people to get out of their own way
Yeah.
moving forward.
All right. Not that Skeptic Haven endorses
No,
no other
no,
candidates.
and I'm really not endorsing a candidate
No,
at
no, there are
all,
no
actually.
candidates to endorse actually at this point.
Um, and honestly, if there was a Republican who was like, yeah, healthcare for all and minimum wage is doubling, as long as we're not platforming like,
That's how you know Trump serves the rich because right now, like, if it were me
mhm.
in the middle of a whole bunch of scandals, I'd be giving away everything. I mean, it's not like the man cares, it's not like he has a conscience. So why not just give us all the things we want? like free healthcare for everybody, free hospitals, free college, free everything, just free transportation, free everything.
Oh,
That's how you
right,
distract people.
because he doesn't want to go to jail. Remember the whole reason he ran it again at all?
Like I said, that's how you know he's serving the rich. Because
Right,
if it was
right,
a normal
yeah.
person, you'd be trying to do, popular
Yeah, I
things.
mean, if you really want to be president forever, like,
Yeah, yeah,
it's like there's just like two or three like big things you could make happen, and like yeah, they people would love you forever and would fight to keep you in the office, but we're not allowed to have like nice things because money in politics. But
yeah.
no, and the reason he's not able to do anything like even remotely decent is because he's guilty of so many things. And he's still not powerful enough to where if the elite really said he's got to go, there's not three things. I mean, there's at least three things that come top of mind that would get him out of office. So I don't know. This is where we are. And
This is where we are taking over DC, and that's an interesting point too because it's not a coincidence. People will talk about the fact that it's easy for the federal government to control because it's the capital, but um, it's also one of the most blackety black of cities outside of where the government buildings are. That now the president wants to just take over and have federal officers on the streets for no reason, in addition to I don't know. I guess the military or whatever. It's all so dystopian at this point. But that'll be my sort of closing thought about community stuff in person is um, now's the time when people are struggling and hurting.
yeah,
And one of the things I really wanted to mention because it was hard for me. It was hard because I'm dealing with a lot personally. In terms of my professional life and my personal life. So it could not have come at sort of a worse time. And then traveling is always expensive. And
yeah,
so, sacrifices had to be made and things had to be figured out so that it was even possible. And so I just want to tell people I think it's worth it even with all of that, and that's why is because when life gets tough, all we really have is like mutual aid and mutual support,
yeah.
and so yeah, like you know just think about whatever you can do to keep yourself going, but also just to be there for other people because you never know how much somebody else could need you right now.
100%. I mean, we need each other. We do. Again, going back to what I was saying before, we are social creatures. We need community. It's not like something that's just like nice to have. Like there's a reason that we keep coming back and that we keep looking for each other. Um, I, this is something that, we need to do for ourselves and each other. And I know that a lot's going on, and I know for a fact that so many of you are going through so much. But if you mentally can do it, just try to be there for one other person. Because, I also know that, a lot of us have been, the only reason that some people are still here. And, even without spending a dime, you can just be the greatest blessing to, for lack of better words, to someone else.
Sure.
To, and I know that a lot of us don't think that, like, we don't like to think about ourselves like that. But there are so many times, and I'm not, not just speaking from like things that people said to me, but things that people have said to me about other people. You have no idea, like, just how much your presence means to someone else. And a lot of times that's worth more than money. So we got to keep the community up. We got to keep the community going, and we got to be there for each other, because clearly our government's not going to be.
All right, y'all. And with that, just a quick reminder, definitely want to thank everybody for watching. I want to thank all the mods. Please remember to check out the other shows on Skeptic Haven. Also want to send a quick shout out to Skeptic Haven's patrons and members. Always thank you guys for supporting the network. And we will be back not, in 2 weeks on our regularly scheduled time. So thank you all so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. And don't forget to check out Maya at Maya Adkisson every Sunday at 9:30 for Bad Science Sunday.
Yeah. At Maya Adkisson, yeah.
And I'm at Pocket Locker 86. All right, gang. Love you guys. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.